Hey everybody, Shawn Tubbs here. Thanks for tuning in. This is the REVV Amps Generator 120. It's a no compromise all tube 4-channel amplifier that's going to get you from really pristine clean tones all the way to super high gain modern saturated crunch tones and everywhere in between those 4 channels. Now the 4 channels all have separate EQs, bass, mid, and treb. We'll get into that. There's a lot of switches on this amplifier that we'll get into in the demo. You've got a contour switch, bright switch, there's a fat switch, and there's an aggression switch for channels 3 and 4. We will definitely check all of that out in the demo. You get separate level controls for each channel, which is awesome, and obviously separate gain controls. You get separate global master controls, 2 of them, which is really cool. You can foot switch between them. So if you want to globally turn the amplifier up or down via foot switch, you can. That's a really nice option. It is a 120 watt amplifier. Yes, that's loud, but you can switch it down to 10 watts, and I'll let you guys hear that in the demo as well. It sounds really great, and you can do that per channel, which is really cool. Now, for the most part, everything I do from the front of the amp can be done via foot switch, and I'm going to bounce back and forth and let you guys check that out. But yes, without further ado, let's get into this thing. And sorry, it has an effects loop that sounds great that can either be programmed in and out or foot switched in and out. We'll check that out too. Okay, let's get going. Okay, let's get into some sounds. I'm going to start off in the clean channel, and I'm just going to kind of move across the board. So it's channels 1 through 4. What you're hearing right now is the clean channel. Really sweet, American, kind of clean sounding channel. Now right now, the one switch that is on is the bright switch. I'll go ahead and shut that off, and the channel will be darker. Now I can turn up the treble, and you're just going to get a different type of top end. So now you've got some top end back, but it's still really warm. Or if you want it to be, you know, more complex, then you can go ahead and turn the bright switch on and adjust the treble accordingly. So that channel is really clean. It almost won't break up. So now I'll go to channel 2 and let you check that one out. Now you do have a gain control on that channel. So I've got it set up to break up just a little bit. And the bright switch is on. So that's a really sweet breakup, almost like reminds me of maybe a Tweed Twin breakup kind of thing. Sounds really great. Now you can do the same thing with the bright switch on this channel. If you want it to be a little bit darker, or like I said, different top end, especially if you're using a humbucker. So I just turned the treble up a little bit to compensate. And like I said, bright switches, they're great. It just depends on what type of top end you want. I don't think they're there necessarily to compensate for too bright or too dark. It just depends on the top end. Now, if you do have a really bright guitar, then that'll come into play, but I tend to look at them a little bit differently, and as I mentioned, it's, you know, what type of top end do I want? So let's go to channel 3. That's going to be the first kind of overdrive channel. And it already sounds huge. Now what I'm going to do before I even touch the gain, because I don't have a lot going on as far as where the potentiometer is set, I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys the aggression mode. So right now, it's basically off. I'll go ahead and turn on the first mode. Now I can either do this from the foot switch or the amp. I'll do it from the amp for now. Here's the next aggression mode. A little more gain, a little bit more top end, definitely some more lows. Now I can hit that switch one more time and go to the next aggression mode, which would be kind of the, I guess, the red mode. So lots more gain. Definitely more, there's a little bit more of a mid bark there. The whole shelf kind of moved up a little bit, and there is more top end. Now what's really cool is I can change that from the foot switch. So when we go to that channel, you've essentially got 3 sounds in that channel. You've got no aggression mode, basically the blue aggression mode, and the red aggression mode. So much gain to be had there without even changing the control. Now I can turn up the gain. And it gets pretty huge, but the nice thing is, man, you can get more gain just from the foot switch. So check this out. Now let's leave it in the, let's put it in the blue aggression mode. Let's listen to, actually no, let's put it in, let's shut the aggression mode off. I want you guys to hear the contour switch. That's right here. You've got a separate one for each channel. So let me turn that on. It's going to add more mids. It's subtle, but you'll hear it. Hear the mids up there now? I'll shut it off. Less mids. That's a really nice setting to have, especially for just getting your guitar to sit in a mix or maybe even cut through in a band type setting. Now you also have a fats setting for those channels. So that switch is right here. I'll go ahead and hit that. Off. So it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It adds more lows and more mids. You've got a ton of tones that can be set just in that channel. Gain, adding the contour, the fat. There's also the bright switch if you really want it to be cutting. So just so much sound to be had just in that channel. Let's go to channel 4, which is going to be the highest gain channel. Now I'll do the same thing with this channel. I'll just bump through via the foot switch this time the aggression modes. So once again, I haven't touched the gain, but I've got 3 essentially gain stages and voicings just in the channel via the foot switch. And then we can do the same thing. We could add the fat if we wanted to. It makes that channel really chewy, and I hate that. I hate that word. But that's the only thing I can, that's the feel. It's chewy. Like J Fart Chewbacca. We can do the same thing with the contour switch. More mids up top. Let's look at the bright switch. You do the same thing with the bright setting. Way more top end. So it's just a ton of tone. Now while we're on this channel, the depth control just adds the big pillowy low end, and it just depends on the situation you're in. If you want it to be really just surrounding, especially if you're playing in maybe a trio or you've got the volume turned down, and we'll check into that in just a second, that depth control comes in really handy. I can shut it completely off. So that's off. Here's almost all the way up. And that's like enveloping now. It's almost too much. But that gives you an idea of how much you can add to the low end on this amp globally. And I'll do the same thing with the presence. It's global control. Presence off. Presence all the way up. I liked it about right there. Overall, I thought that sounded really sweet. Now, the other thing I want to show you is the effects loop. So I can turn the effects loop on here from the front panel of the amp. So here's the effects loop off. It's a really great effects loop. Now I've got a really exaggerated delay in there so you can hear what's going on. But it doesn't color the tone at all. Everything sounds great. I can bypass it from the pedal board now. And just real quick, I didn't do it on all the channels, but let me just do it on the fourth channel in the blue aggression mode. I'm just going to sweep the controls. So the mids are very active but musical. The bass can get huge on this thing. The treble can definitely get cutting. Very, very dialable. It's very similar on all the other channels. Now, while we're on this channel, speaking of turning things down, of course you can turn the master down, or you can just go to the 10 watt setting. Now, I'm not going to gain anything up. I want you guys to really hear the difference in volume. Now in here, that still sounds amazing. I'll put it back to the 100 watt mode. 10 watts. And what's crazy is you can do that per channel. So I'm really digging that whole concept and idea, and it does sound good. Now, of course, you can roll, you know, if you're wanting bedroom levels and you don't want to play at 10 watts, you can certainly roll the master way down. Very usable master, but I like having those a little bit more opened up because the power amp sounds better that way. Now the other thing you can do is you can see there's two master controls there. You can switch between them. So if you wanted to have, like, let me turn this one down. If you wanted to have an overall global boost in volume, you can do it. I just did that from the foot switch. Now that's really extreme, but it's just to give you an idea. So there's just so much going on with this amp. It's so well thought out. If you've got any further questions, go to the website and check it out. I always recommend if you can go download the PDF manual, that's the best thing to do. Most websites allow you to do that, and you can just read through the manual and really get a handle on the amps or the product you're looking at before you even hear it. But yeah, go to the website, check it out. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you next time.